Hi, my name is Theodore Cottingham. I'm a common man in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, bringing to you my love this day and my recognition of the revelation of who I am is. And if you have been following my recordings, my teachings closely these last few days, you're aware that I'm changing and that I'm in the midst of changing and revealing the revelation to me and to you who choose to be willing to see it. That we've been sold a bill of goods regarding the story of our origin and who we are and what capacity we have to be of our original selves again. I'm talking about going and understanding way back. Before time began, we were I am. So I suggest to you a new understanding, a new clarity, the revelation revealed. This day, this idea, the picture, the story picture, the picture story, the metaphor, the allegory. You see, the knowledge now, the understanding coming into being, what the tree of good and evil was about. The tree of good and evil in the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Creation. You see, if you have been studying with me, studying my words as I have brought them forth, and decided what I am saying, deciding what they mean to you, deciding to open your school of life, your school of the origination of you. You will see, you will hear, you will have recognized that more and more in recent days, I had differentiated God from God, that God was just not who we thought it is or was. And I began to differentiate in recent times God versus the God that I know. Because I began to see the irreconcilable mammoth differences between God that wants to demand that you serve it versus the God that I have experienced for years, teaching me with the first person words of God, God energy, heart of love, a God of love that has no wrath in it and no condemnation. I began to see a different God, a different creator. And I spoke, and I've spoken now for weeks here and there, and increasingly, especially these last couple of days, letting you know I'm coming out of the terminology that I have been enmeshed in. I have been inculcated, integrated, ingrained with the whole idea of religion all my life. I was a devout Christian. I've told you that many times, some parts of my story. Growing up in a Christian home, becoming a devout God seeker, and even Sunday school teacher, led a young married share group, did both of those for 5 years. And even after that is when I began to seek God seriously and began to experience the first person words of God. Some kind of, it wasn't a voice. I can call it the voice of God. But I began to experience communication. And I still assert that this communication is available to you, to every man and woman. No matter what you believe, no matter what you call God, no matter what your name for God is, even whether you doubt God exists. If you're willing to come as a child to the holy place, and not insist how God comes to you or what it communicates, you can begin to learn directly from God too. So I call it writing the first person words of God for years. And then in the last couple of years, I spoke in terms of channeling God. But what this is communicates, and now I'm leaving the terminology of the religious behind. But I'm sharing with you, even as I'm going through this process, these last few days especially, and now here, I'm sharing with you. If you can see the story of creation and see the idea of what the tree of the knowledge of good and evil really is, and how you partake of it every day. You are eating the apple every day. Every day, all of us, we have been the partaker. We ate the apple because the tree of good and evil, eating the fruit of that is saying good and evil exist. And we're biting into it and we're saying, yes, this is real. This is real. I can touch it and feel it, so I know it's real. It's made of metal. I know this is reality. I think, therefore I am. And I share with you this moment. There's more to the story. There's so much more to the story, and it's so beautiful. And it applies to each of us, every last one of us, of every nature, tribe, and tongue. We, my friends, existed in a state of perfection before this molecular world existed. So this is a world that is very real to us in it. We seem to be incarcerated in molecular bodies. We seem to be incarcerated on this planet. But the real us, the reality of true real, call it the quantum world or not. But we existed, I assure you, before time and space did. Before this universe as we know it, as we look out and see the stars twinkle and we think of the beauty and the majesty of creation, and we talk about all creation and the majesty of God and how wonderful it is to be able to even know God, to worship God. But the heart of God was never to worship it. We were a race that was God, the consciousness of, the mind of. And that spark is still within every individual. That spark is still there. That communication link between the original, before God was, before duality existed, before good and evil ever entered this world. The link to our original essence, being, crown of light, energy, you can still log into. You can still log into if you know the user ID and the password. Do you have the key? Do you have the key to enter your promised land? Your promised land. Not afar off after we die, going somewhere. What if our real and true promised land is again entering our original state of being before good and evil existed, before law existed? Talking about needing a redeemer, a Christ, an anointed, and that there's only one, and that you worship it. That's not the God I know. And now the God I know reveals to me a better terminology is not even using the word God, because it is so ensconced and meshed and instantaneously conjures up in every physical human mind separation and some kind of image. Even if you say God doesn't exist, you image it to say that image doesn't exist. Seems like, but wait, before time was, we are again coming into. This is the new beginning. Whether you see it as the story of Noah and a new creation, a new world being made or not. But these are all metaphors, stories, allegory, telling us, and my friend, original source energy is what I began calling this in the last few days, right? You remember? I said, we're coming back into original source energy. The I am. The I am race of light beings that are no longer tormented by flesh, no longer tormented by the neurons that are programmed to interact with the code of its DNA, interacting with the algorithms of words that diminish us, debase us, take our authority from us and give us an identity of failure, an identity of separation, an identity of it's every man, it's every woman for themselves. Dog eat dog. Only the best survive. Buddy, that's hell. If you want to define hell, just look around. Look around at what's going on in the world. Look at how many wars are going on this very moment. Consider the sex trafficking, sex trade, the famine, the floods. Do you not see all this going on? And who's there to help the helpless? Who's there to stand in the gap? Who's willing to speak, to tell us who we are, so we're not going around helpless, saying, God help me, God help me, God help me, give me a miracle, God help me. Oh, and by the way, who am I? Who am I? Why am I here? Why am I here on earth? We've been ignorant. But the knowledge of God now will be refuted, because we're no more eating from the knowledge that is superimposed upon us by the words of other people. We're coming back in to the love of I am. The original source energy. And maybe tomorrow I'll have better words to explain it more clearly, as this is the school of me. Me, Theodore Cottingham, me. I'm going through the school of me. I'm learning as I speak. I learn as I teach. This is all extemporaneous, channeling, whatever you want to call it. I've done this for 21 years. And a different story is birthed in me. That births you to be in the school of you, if you will learn to channel it too. Not channeling God of the Bible. Not channeling the God that demands that you worship it and gives you a list of commands, demands, and tells you that at the end of your life, or that you must have an end of your life, and at the end of your life, they will judge you. I no longer bite that apple. I no longer eat that fruit. There's a better fruit. There's a better tree. There's a better energy. There's a better existence. There's a better promise, a better covenant. There's more to the story. And that original source energy, I am, the I am energy, the I am that I am, that which existed before the Garden of Eden story, before death had any power over us. That's what we are coming back into. And we are birthing, you see, the new us. And this is what this school is about. The school of me, not me the arrogant, but me the most humble of all. To no longer hold a book and say, this is truth. Everything anybody else must say to me must line up with this book. If it doesn't, I might fall apart. We've been so gullible. We've been so naive. We've been so protective of what we thought we knew. We were so desperate. We wanted to be right. We wanted to be right in our own eyes. Haven't we? I have. Of course. We become invested in the quest. We spend so much time, effort, and energy devoted in prayer and even worship. And I suggest to you, the heart of God that I'm talking about, the heart of that which has taught me directly over these years and now leading me to change my terminology yet again in what is a pretty significant way, The heart of original source energy was never to worship it. It was to come home. The invitation is to you, the prodigal, to come to your senses, to come to the revelation that I am is you. And your beauty still exists. And your energy is complete that exists in a spectrum. It exists as the spectrum of entire reality, not just a little slice of energy we call visible. The visible empirical realm is but a slice, a very small slice of the infinite pie. So I share with you, it's dynamic, and it's a frontier we are afraid of no longer. We are no longer naive and gullible. We're no more afraid to examine things, lest someone say, oh, that's heresy. You're a heretic. You're blaspheming God. No, wait a minute. You can say that to me if you want to. But I existed, my friend, before your God ever came into your consciousness. Before that tree in the garden, good and evil, ever existed. Because in our original state, there was no evil. So it was a state of perfection. We lived and we learned. And there was no law to restrict us. Because love operated in a value system, an operating system. We all had a modus operandi of creators, all creating creation again. We roamed the cosmos. We created planets. We created galaxies. And your power still exists within you. And there's no resident evil in you if you will eradicate it by beginning to understand who you are. And you don't just have to take my word for it. What I teach is for you to learn to teach yourself, for you to learn to have this communication of love, where you become one consciousness, creating this consciousness of love that knows no end and no beginning. Were you Melchizedek? You see the story. No beginning and no end. That which I was, I am, I still am, I'm still creating. Creation, I think, is this because I ate the apple. I ate the concept. I ate the idea that this was reality. But this is not the whole story. This is a subdomain. My friend, we are changing this world who will no longer bite the apple, because we have all bitten it. And that serpent has infected us with the venom that creates separation, that creates brutality, that brews anger. You see, There was no brutality. There was no anger. This is what we're coming back into again. Shall we call it heaven? Okay, let's use that word for now. Heaven is being restored here. And this is the time that those who want to imbibe the venom of brutality, judgment, condemnation, condemning each other, condemning themselves, wanting to believe they're right in their own eyes, instead of learning humbly as a child who they are, and eradicating deception day after day, pruning their tree of life to begin to see a different story and change their genetics. Those who don't want to do that will die out. By war? By famine? No, by ignorance. Don't place any blame on any other person. Don't point the finger unless you point it at you. For I am is we are. We are the Eve. We are the Adam. We are the tree. The tree is in us. But I'm no longer eating of the fruit that good and evil even exist in the true state of I am. And I'm coming back into my promised land, my original state. I hope you are too. That you're no longer bent on destroying yourself, marching inexorably to put you in a casket so somebody can say a eulogy and somebody can write about your legacy. Oh boy, have I changed. I've changed immensely. So is creation. Creation is being created all the time, and the recreation of me is done by me. I know it's unfathomable in one sense, and that's where humility comes in. I am the creation of me, and I've created me many times. So have you. So there's more to the story. I am. No apology needed. No apology necessary. I'm writing. I am right here. And I wish you to also. I am. And the words that we speak project out from us to each other's receiving unit that begin to feel love rather than condemnation. They make me sick. Hey, that's not part of the terminology. That's not part of the thinking. That's not a part even. That combination of words filled with emotion. Are words filled with emotion? Are words filled with energy? Are words a form of energy? What if there's an energy that does not define itself in words and yet will interact with you to teach you, so that you don't eat the apple of other people's thought. You see, I suggest you are the creation of you. You are creating you, and you are responsible for you, to learn who you are. And this knowledge is not withheld from you and never has been. But religion has prevented us from knowing it. Teachers of the law, teachers of Christ, teachers of love, teachers blind leading the blind, so we all suffer. So many teachers say they're teachers of love, but they teach hatred, brutality, and how to shun people, how to create retribution, how to be people of vengeance, revenge. Wait a minute. In the real world, the real existence, the state of Israel, that sort of stuff doesn't exist. But my friend, Israel is a metaphor. The biblical Israel, the promised land, is not molecular. Your promised land is the origin, not of this species, but the one that realizes our original state, our original existence was a state of pure light love, infinite power, infinite creation, not limited to the speed of light that we know, not limited to the speed of sound. All this contrived thought universe, the universe of thought, limited by the words of creation, of iterations of creations over time, will no longer rule us, for we will no longer lay down our power. So the sword that is sharper than any two-edged sword, my friend, is not metal. It's not made of molecules. And the word of the Lord will no more hurt me. The words of the lords, the overlords that want obeisance and power to have their turf, their momentum, and their energy will no more rule us who live in the consciousness of one to create our creation again that lives in flesh, not limited to it. Because we're birthing a new birth. You see, the stories have been contrived and limited to man's logic. But we no longer live a lie. We no longer eat of the tree of good and evil. We begin to see the originality of the King. The King. The King of Kings. The King of Kings is not someone else, my friend. The King is comprised of all the kings. The king is a metaphor for one who simply operates in the authority of one. The consciousness of the mind that is now subservient to flesh no more, to the Lord Gods no more, to no more intermediary ghost, whether you live in those protocols or not. The mission is to be who you really are, if you will accept it. to come out of the matrix. To no longer be limited by flesh. Hey, have you watched the movie The Truman Show lately? It's a terrific metaphor, terrific allegory. Do you know the difference between metaphor and allegory? Probably good to look it up. Great allegory, The Truman Show. There are many movies, there are many books. There are many teachers that teach with varying terminologies, some kind of rebirth, some kind of phoenix rising from the ashes, some kind of Messiah coming to heal us. May I suggest to you, there's only one Messiah for you. The face of your Messiah is in your mirror. We neither point the blame to someone else nor the responsibility to know who we are to someone else. This is every person's intimate decision to choose you. Choose you, my friend. Choose you to be who you really are in the original state, the original essence of I am one. And believe me, this is not like the Bible speaks of Lucifer lifting up himself with all light and power and music and majesty, drawing everything to himself. My friend, it is the exact opposite. You can only come into the state of beginning to reveal the revelation of you to you with the humility of a child that begins however you want to begin. But so often I think of beginning with a prayer. Here I am. But see, it's no longer a prayer to another entity. It's a prayer of who we are, to who we are, that we still are, never apart. You can log in at any time. I love you, and yeah, I hope you enjoy this. But I hope these words are a catalyst for your creation of you, where you're not eating from the tree of good and evil that says someone else created you. That's the biggest lie of all, maybe. You created you. We are creators, and we are choosing to destroy ourselves no more. We're no longer choosing to submit our power in ways to worship a death machine that says it is pointed unto me to die. No, I defy those words. I defy your Bible, that Bible, your biblical creation, or the interpretation that you've created all around all those sermons and all those words as you sat in those thousands of services like I did, some of you. No, there's more to the story. And love doesn't lie. And the truth, my friend, is dynamic. The truth is not stagnant. The truth is not canonized. And the truth will never be canonized. The truth is a flow that comes where you are. When you're willing to come as a little child, get in the quiet place, walk into the Holy of Holies, the Holy of Holies, the garden of creation between your ears, where the tree of life exists. Picture the network of neurons that you have. Do you have one or two? 2 or 3 dozen? Millions? Billions? What are you forming up here in your kingdom, your creation? I ask. Your word is important to you. For your words are a lamp unto your feet. Your words are creating you, or are you the power of creation submitting to other people's words? I ask you to arise in the leadership of you, to lead you, to be who you are, the prodigal returned, to our original state that is no longer limited to this one in the magnetism of humanity. Okay. I record like this, I teach like this, I preach like this. And I'm beginning a new beginning. I'm creating creation all over again. In me first. By my words, I am creating it. Not by the rules, law, or words of other people. Then I ask you to do the same. Learn not by law, not by rules, not because you have a test coming up, not because someone's going to give you a grade at the end of the semester, but coming out of the school of law and the way we have lived. Begin to know the infinite. Receive your glory, receive your crown. My friend, there's no receiving it. There's only growing it, day by day, learning. Let's not eat the apple anymore, eh? The metaphor of the apple. The true life of the essence of the one, the consciousness of the one, doesn't conjure up an image of a Messiah anymore being someone else to come. My friend, it's you. People all over the earth are waiting for your words, waiting for you. I'm not a lone ranger. Thank you for listening to these words and no longer decimating your power, no longer creating an identity that worships another. Defeat yourself no more in the words of a stranger. Let no one pull a veil over your eyes. The veil of dissension, deceit, the power of ignominy will no more reproach us. For we don't approach some other throne. We don't seek grace. We no longer look for mercy. We begin to tell it like it is. And I tell you, you are the I am race if you will come back into it. Learn to log in every day. And the password, the key, surrender to come as a little child and say, here I am. And be willing to receive and respond to love, the energy that begins to flow through you to heal you and love you. And acknowledge your love in the intimacy of communion. Intimate communion. Way more intimate than physical intercourse. This is a communion of the genes, the non-molecular genes. No longer a marriage to faith or an image of another. It's the creation of creation again, and you're it. Choose you. I love you. Thank you for sharing these words. Listen, love. If you're in the school of you and you're beginning, boy, I listened to for years and years and years. I would listen to my recordings 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I would transcribe them. Sometimes I'd weep, I'd cry, I'd laugh. But I was learning all the time through the energy flowing through me. The energy of love can't be stagnant. It has to be a flow, like a river. Can't maintain your silence. You can't be reclusive anymore. Are you willing to let your leadership show? And I disagree with the definition that to define leadership, you see, if they have any followers. That's not the definition we live by. Lead when no one else is following. Lead when no one else loves you. Lead. Who are you leading? You. You begin with you. You begin with one, the one you are. Seeking to claim no identity other. The fools who want to live the life of the naive can do so. But a new beginning is emerging, and it's not by faith. It's by the face of who I am, recognizing in all people to love them. And if you hold any grudges, you got to do something about that. Forgive them. It doesn't matter what they've done, what they've said. This is the time to honor the I am of I am. Forgive you of everything done and not. Forgive them too. And let us learn to love love and eat the fruit of love. And the tree of love will no more be infected by fruit that stinks, that says this is reality and worship another. Okay, Theodore Cottingham, you can write me at Box 34 in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, USA. Good day to you all. On the web, I'm at TheodoreCottingham.com. I have that domain too. What's your domain? What domain are you seeking? I still have the website, theschoolofgod.com. Come into school and create your own. I love you. Dynamic living be with the love of one. I love you all. Share these words. Love each other. Good day.